So, there I was, standing in the middle of my own mother's 60th birthday party, surrounded by, 50 members of our extended family. I was holding a microphone, and everyone was smiling, expecting some sweet, heartfelt speech. I had a beautifully wrapped gift in my hands. I walked over to my mom, gave her a hug, and said, "This is for you," loud enough for the mic to pick it up. She gushed, of course, going on about what a thoughtful, wonderful daughter I was. She tore off the gold wrapping paper, her smile beaming. Then, she lifted the lid of the box, and her face just froze. Her smile didn't just disappear, it evaporated. It was like watching a statue melt. Inside the box was a very expensive, very elegant picture frame. And inside the frame was a professionally printed copy of a bank statement. A wire transfer for $10,000. I leaned back into the microphone, my voice perfectly calm, and said, "I just wanted to take a moment to publicly thank my mother for her incredible generosity." A few people clapped, still not understanding. It seems she recently gave a $10,000 gift from my late father's inheritance to my ex-husband. You know, to help him and his mistress get a down payment on their new condo. The condo they moved into right after our divorce was finalized. You could have heard a pin drop. Then, from the back of the room, there was a thud. My Aunt Carol had actually fainted. But let me tell you, this was a year in the making. This whole train wreck started with a single receipt I found in the pocket of my husband's jeans. My ex-husband, Liam, and I were that couple. You know the one. High school sweethearts, married for 5 years, together for 10. We had the nice suburban house, the golden retriever, the matching Christmas pajamas. From the outside, we were perfect. And for a long time, I thought we were. My mom, well, she adored Liam. I'm her daughter, but Liam was, and I quote, the son she never had. She'd call him to chat about his work. She'd make him his favorite lemon meringue pie when he visited. She'd brag to her friends about his promotions. It was sweet at first. I just thought she was happy for us. But looking back, the signs were there. She always saw him as the prize, and my job was to be the perfect little wife who kept him. When my dad passed away a few years ago, he left a moderately sized inheritance. He was a smart man, and he'd set it up in a trust managed by my mom, to be eventually split between me and my younger sister, Maya. Mom took this responsibility very, very seriously. Any talk of using the money was met with a lecture about fiscal responsibility and protecting your father's legacy. The perfect life started to crack one Tuesday night. Liam was supposed to be working late, closing a big deal. He did that a lot. But I was doing laundry and found a receipt in his jeans pocket. It was from a fancy downtown hotel bar, time-stamped from an hour ago. For 2 very expensive cocktails. Weird, but okay, maybe he was celebrating with a client. But my gut, you know? That little voice that you try so hard to ignore. It was screaming at me. I did something I'd never done before. I opened our shared phone plan details online. The records showed dozens of texts and calls, every single day, to a number I didn't recognize. My heart was pounding in my ears. I Googled the number. It was linked to a social media profile of a girl named Tiffany. She was 24. A new hire in his department. Her profile was full of pictures of her laughing, traveling, and in a few of them, she was wearing a delicate gold necklace I'd never seen before. Except I had. I'd bought it for Liam for our anniversary 2 years ago. He told me he'd lost it at the gym. When he got home that night, smelling faintly of a perfume that wasn't mine, I didn't scream. I just put the receipt and a printout of the phone records on the kitchen island. He didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. He sighed, like I was inconveniencing him. He said the classic lines. "We've just been growing apart. It's not what you think. I didn't want to hurt you." He made it sound like the affair was a symptom of our problems, not a choice he made. He was a coward, trying to make his betrayal a group project. The next day, after he'd packed a bag and left, I made the worst mistake of my life. I called my mom, hoping for comfort. I was sobbing, barely able to get the words out. And when I finally did, there was a long pause on her end. I expected, "I'm so sorry, sweetie," or "I'm coming right over." Instead, what I got was, "Well, Chloe, what did you do?" I was so stunned I actually stopped crying. "What?" What did I do? He cheated on me, Mom. Don't take that tone with me, she snapped. Marriage is work. Did you stop trying? Have you been keeping the house nice for him? Have you gained weight? You know men have needs, Chloe. You probably just weren't paying enough attention to him. He has a very stressful job. I felt the blood drain from my face. It was an interrogation. I was the one on trial. She went on and on, her voice a buzzsaw of blame. It wasn't about me or my pain. It was about the failure of the marriage, which, in her eyes, was solely a wife's responsibility. Then came the line that I will never, ever forget. You can't just throw this all away over one little mistake. You need to go get your husband back. You need to try harder. Try harder. He had been sleeping with a 24-year-old for God knows how long, buying her jewelry I bought for him, and I was the one who needed to try harder. That phone call was a second betrayal, and in some ways, it hurt even more than Liam's. The divorce was hell, made infinitely worse by my mother. She became his one-woman support system. While I was at home, trying to figure out how to untangle a decade of my life, she was calling him to see how he was holding up. She'd report back to my aunts and uncles that Chloe was being so difficult and refusing to be reasonable. Liam, of course, played the part of the tragic, misunderstood husband perfectly. He told her I was cold and distant, and that Tiffany was just a friend who understood him. And my mother, my own mother, bought it all. She'd call me with updates. Oh, I spoke to Liam today. He sounds so sad, Chloe. He really misses you. Or she'd try to give me advice. You know, if you just apologized for pushing him away, maybe he'd consider coming home. It was insane. I was living in a bizarre alternate reality where I was the villain for getting cheated on. My sister, Maya, was my only anchor. She saw right through it. She called my mom out on it, but Mom just accused her of being as dramatic as her sister. The divorce was finalized after 6 months of misery. I had to sell the house. I was emotionally and financially drained. Liam had been spending lavishly on Tiffany, and our joint savings were a shadow of what they should have been. I was starting over from scratch at 32. I needed to find a new place to live, fast, but the rental market was brutal. I just needed a little help for a down payment to get my own small condo, a place to feel safe again. So, I did something I hated. I called my mom and asked if it was possible to get a small advance on my portion of Dad's inheritance. Just enough to get me on my feet. The lecture that followed was epic. Absolutely not, she said, her voice dripping with disappointment. That money is for your future, Chloe. It is not to be wasted on a whim because you couldn't manage your finances. Your father wanted that money to be protected. If you just tried harder to keep your husband, you'd still have your beautiful house and you wouldn't be in this mess. She made me feel like a pathetic, irresponsible child. I hung up, completely humiliated and utterly defeated. Not only would she not help me, she used the opportunity to kick me when I was at my absolute lowest. A few weeks went by. I was crashing on Maya's couch, scrolling through apartment listings that I couldn't afford. Then, my cousin, Mark, called. He's a good guy, but a bit of a gossip. He was chatting about a family dinner he'd had with my mom. Man, Aunt Karen was going on and on about how expensive real estate is, he said casually. She was saying she had no idea a 2-bedroom condo could cost so much. Said she was just glad she could help Liam out with his down payment. The phone felt slick in my hand. What did you say? Yeah, you know, for his new place with that Tiffany girl. Kinda weird she's helping him, right? But hey, you know your mom. She's always loved the guy. My blood ran cold. It couldn't be. It was just too cruel. But I had to know. My dad, bless his heart, had made me and Maya view-only beneficiaries on the Trust's online banking portal. He said he wanted us to always be able to see what was going on for total transparency. I hadn't looked at it in years. With my hands shaking, I logged in. And there it was. 2 days after the phone call where she had lectured me, shamed me, and refused me help. A wire transfer. $10,000. From the estate of David Miller to Liam Johnson. The memo line, typed in by my own mother, read, "A little help to get you back on your feet. Love, Karen." I didn't scream. I didn't cry. A strange, icy calm washed over me. It was the kind of calm you feel in the eye of a hurricane. In that moment, something inside me broke. The part of me that still hoped, that still made excuses for her, that still loved her unconditionally, it just died. She had taken my father's money, money he had worked his whole life for, money that was meant for his daughter's security, and she had given it to the man who shattered my life. She funded my replacement. I looked at the calendar on my phone. Her 60th birthday party was in 2 weeks. The entire family would be there. And I knew, with absolute certainty, what I had to do. Revenge is a dish best served cold, right? Well, my dish was about to be frozen in liquid nitrogen and served at a party with 100 witnesses. I spent the next 2 weeks meticulously planning. I called the event planner and told them I'd be making a short speech, so I'd need a microphone. I went to a high-end print shop and had them print a high-resolution copy of the bank transfer. Then I went to a custom framing shop and had it put in a gorgeous, expensive-looking silver frame. I wrapped it in the most cheerful, celebratory paper I could find, with a giant, gold bow. On the day of the party, I was the perfect daughter. I mingled. I laughed. I told my aunts how wonderful my mother looked. I played my part. Liam was there, of course. My mother had invited him. He stood awkwardly in a corner, and she fluttered around him, making sure he had a drink, introducing him to people as her dear friend. The audacity was breathtaking. When the time for speeches came, I was ready. I walked up to the front, took the microphone, and waited for the room to quiet down. And that's when I walked over, handed her the gift, and watched the life drain from her eyes as she opened it. After I dropped the bomb about the $10,000 gift and my Aunt Carol hit the deck, absolute chaos erupted. My mother's face turned a blotchy, furious red. "That is a lie. How dare you make up such a disgusting story on my birthday?" She shrieked into the silence. I held up the microphone, my voice still icy calm. "It's not a story, Mom. It's a bank transfer. The date is right there. 2 days after you told me I was financially irresponsible for asking for help. But I guess he was a better investment, right?" Liam looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. My uncles and cousins were all staring at him, then at my mom. The whisper started, then grew into loud arguments. My sister Maya was by my side in a second. She grabbed the framed statement from my mom's limp hands and showed it to our Uncle Steve. "See for yourself," she said, her voice shaking with rage. "She stole from us. She stole Dad's money to give it to this piece of trash." My mom started sobbing then, loud, theatrical sobs. I was just trying to help. He was in a tough spot. "Chloe is just being vengeful and cruel." "Cruel?" I laughed, a raw, humorless sound. "Cruel is telling your heartbroken daughter she should have tried harder to keep her cheating husband. Cruel is lecturing me about responsibility while you're wiring my inheritance to my ex. You didn't do this to help him. You did this to spite me. To prove that you were right, that he was the real victim here. You chose him over your own child. So, happy birthday, Mom. I hope it was worth it." I placed the microphone carefully back on its stand, turned around, and walked out of that party without looking back. Maya was right behind me. The aftermath was exactly what you'd expect. A nuclear bomb went off in my family, and the fallout is still settling. Maya and I immediately hired an estate lawyer. We sued to have our mother removed as the trustee of our father's estate, citing a clear breach of her fiduciary duty. The framed bank transfer was Exhibit A. It was an open and shut case. The judge was appalled. We won, and the trust is now managed by a neutral third party. My mother has zero control. The family split right down the middle. My Aunt Carol, once she was revived, and a few others took my mother's side, calling me disrespectful. But most of them, especially my dad's side of the family, were horrified. They saw the proof. They'd heard her defend Liam for months. Suddenly, it all clicked into place for them. I went completely, totally no contact with my mother. She's tried to reach out through relatives, sending messages that are a bizarre mix of half-hearted apologies and accusations. I've blocked her number. I have no interest in a relationship with someone who could betray me so profoundly. It's like a death. I'm mourning the mother I thought I had, not the one I actually do. As for Liam, the public humiliation was total. He was no longer the poor, misunderstood guy. He was the cheater who took money from his ex-wife's family. He and Tiffany are still together, I think, but the word is they argue constantly about money. I couldn't care less. It's been a year now. I got a small apartment on my own. It's not much, but it's mine. I have a new job that I love. I'm in therapy, working through the double betrayal. Some days are still hard, but for the first time in a long time, I feel free. I'm free from a husband who didn't respect me and a mother who didn't support me. I had to burn it all down to get here, but I'd do it again in a heartbeat. The trash, both of them, took itself out. So yeah, that's how I ended up blowing up my entire family at a 60th birthday party.